Hello, fellow Rotarians. I'm Cedric Hill, and it's my distinct honor to serve as your club's president for the Rotary year 2022-2023. Rotary was started in 1905, built on the vision of Paul Harris, a Chicago attorney where professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful relationships. Rotary Club of Columbus has a rich history beginning in 1915. Over the years, our club has continued to grow to nearly 300 members who continue to find ways to make our community stronger and better. With our makeup of members from a full spectrum of leaders, we are postured to continue this great legacy. In the words of Paul Harris, whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it will be known by what we achieve. As we round the corner on 2 years of a pandemic and turmoil in our nation, once again, Rotary rises to the occasion with a design and an approach from a humanitarian perspective. This year's focus, Imagine Rotary, lends one to think, as Rotarians, people of action, what we as individuals may create, and what we as Rotarians across the globe, what we may impact. As we move into the next year with the challenges our world faces, I'd like to call us to be a club of even more action, impacting our community, nation, and world with the same fierceness and intention Rotary has always exhibited. Thank you for your service to Rotary. This is our home club. To the community and world that we face, let's together imagine Rotary. Good afternoon and welcome to our July 20th Rotary Club of Columbus meeting. We'd like to begin with our invocation, and Debbie Cavallaro will give us a prayer in her faith tradition. Debbie, if you would come.
Let's pray. Father, thank you so much that the only preparation we need to come before you is a humble heart. It's a joy for us to come and see one another every week and learn more about the passionate people within our own circle who are making this a better community in which to live. We ask your blessing on each and every one here. Father, I pray that we would always remember that our service should be unto you, the original creator, and the one with the biggest imagination of all. We praise you today in Jesus' name. Amen. I remind you of the cans. I hope you'll drop your best gift into them.
While we're standing, let us do our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. At this point, we'll call on Austin Lyle to come and give us our news for today. Ms. Austin, if you would come.
Good afternoon, everyone. Here is a look at your headlines. There's a new COVID vaccine. Novavax, a 2-dose COVID vaccine that does not utilize mRNA technology, was approved by the CDC for rollout to the general population. Experts hope that the new non-mRNA vaccine will persuade the 22% of Americans that have not yet received their first vaccination. Apparently, TikTok is the new Google. So, according to internal data shared by a senior VP at Google, a whopping 40% of people aged 18 to 24 use TikTok or Instagram instead of a traditional Google Maps or Google search. That is baffling to me. I don't know about you, but it just shocks me. And Gen Z claims the visual aspects of TikTok and Instagram are more educational than the traditional text search of Google. There is a new commanding officer. Fort Benning welcomed a new commanding general last Thursday and a change of command ceremony, Major General Curtis Buzzard, who served several stints at Fort Benning early in his career. The Dow Jones was up 74 points at noon today, and your weather forecast is cloudy with a high of 94 and a low of 75. Have a great day.
Thank you, Austin, and we'll call on Teddy Price at this point to recognize our visitors and guests that we have with us today. Teddy, if you would.
Thank you, President Cedric. Today we've got a nice list of visiting Rotarians and guests. Luann Medlock and Brad White from the Muskogee Club are with us today. And Cynthia Hester, Cecile Terry, Ruby White, and Spencer White, from the Habitat for Humanity with Louise Hurless today. Where you at? Raise your hand so we can see you. There we go. Ian and Julie Bond have their granddaughter, Sophia, with them today. Sophia Mims, she's probably in the back with Julie over there. Joseph Brannon has Patrick Steed with cartoons with him today. And Ben Moser has B.J. Tillman, who is an intern for the United Way, with him today. Where you at? See you? Okay, we don't see you. Thank you, President.
Great. Again, let's give our visitors and Rotarians a hand. Our visiting Rotarians, thank you so much for joining us, and those that are our guests today, we also thank you for being with us, and we hope that our time today is something that you will enjoy. Each week, we give recognition to a soldier, and really in commemoration of Colonel Ralph Puckett, which is, most of us from this club know who Colonel Puckett is and what Colonel Puckett has done in this area, Fort Benning. So each week we recognize a soldier. In this particular point, Vern Humphreys is going to recognize our Ralph Puckett Soldier of the Week. Vern, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fellow Rotarians, it is my honor. It's always a pleasure and honor to introduce a soldier. It is my honor to introduce you today to Staff Sergeant Trevor Nipper. He is originally from Arizona, joined the Army in 2018, attended basic one station training at some obscure place called Fort Benning. Then he was stationed at Fort Carson, Colorado, where he was deployed with the 3rd Armored Brigade, 4th Squadron, 10th Cavalry Regiment. He's currently working on a bachelor's degree in marketing. His position currently is a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout. I asked him what that was, because to me, when I think of scout, I think of the old westerns, and the guy gets on a horse and rides out by himself and comes back and tells them everything. He said it was kind of like that, except they use vehicles now and it's not by themselves. He has been a dismounted team leader, squad leader. He has one combat deployment to Iraq, Operation Spartan Shield. He has basic leadership course, a few awards and decorations, Army Commendation, Army Achievement, Good Conduct, Global War Terrorism Service Medal, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development, and Overseas Service Ribbon. He is a smart young man because he's single. And we have a few things for you, okay? The single part always makes introductions easy because I don't have to remember spouses or kids' names. And in the Army, I'm bad with names. We all had them on our shirt. He's got it, so I'm good to go. We have a coin for you, rotary coin. You know what to do with a challenge coin? We have a passport for the arts, tickets for 2 to the River Center, Columbus Symphony Orchestra, National Infantry Museum, Columbus State Theater Department, and the Springer Theater. So find somebody nice to take with you. We have the Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr. Soldier of the Week Award. Nice for you to frame and put on your I Love Me wall in your office. And congratulations. Colonel Puckett's a wonderful member of our organization and just a great person to get to know. We also have a book for you written by Colonel Puckett, Words for Warriors. And I've actually talked to a lot of people in the civilian sector that think this is a great leadership book. This particular one was given to you by Rotarian Malin D. Faircloth in memory of his brother, Staff Sergeant Johnny W. Faircloth, who was killed in action September 18, 1965 in Vietnam in the Battle of An Ninh. He was posthumously awarded the Silver Star for his gallantry in action. There's a book. Thank you for joining us, and the floor is yours.
Just want to thank everyone for having me here and hosting me here.
Sergeant Nipper, again, we'd like to welcome you to our club today and being a guest of ours. And certainly, we want you to take back to your fellow comrades and soldiers at Fort Benning how much we appreciate what you all do for our country and our nation and for your families. Again, thank you. Let's celebrate him again for being here with us today. It's always great when we have new members, and we have two that will be coming forward. I think Stephanie Payne and Ben McMahon will be coming with new members. Stephanie?
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank whoever set up the microphone for setting it at my height and not our new members. So I am very excited to introduce to you all Michael Dennehy as our newest Rotarian to this club for about 30 seconds. And Michael has been a good family friend of mine for a few years now, and I'm excited to introduce him to this club. Michael was previously a Rotarian up in West Point, Georgia, and that's where he opened his first business. He opened this business after retiring as an Army Lieutenant Colonel and he served 21 years as a Green Beret and successfully completed 6 commands and 7 combat tours. So thank you for your service. Once Michael retired in 2017, he opened the Chattahoochee Brew House. It was originally up in West Point, Georgia, but he now moved it to Columbus a few years ago, and it's under the 13th Street Bridge downtown. Under his ownership, the brewery was named Georgia's Small Manufacturer of the Year for 2019. It was named among Georgia's top 10 breweries for 2018 and 2020, and was named among Georgia's top 10 beers for 2018 and 2020. Lastly, it was named Troup County's Business of the Year for 2018. So quite a list of accolades, both as an Army soldier and as an entrepreneur in our region. He sold his business at the end of 2021, but he remains here in Columbus, and he now serves as the Director of Communications at the National Infantry Museum. He is active in the civic engagement and nonprofit realm and is the president of the local Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. So if there's any outdoorsmen and women in the audience, he would love to meet you. My fiance is, I think, on the board for that? Yes. He is on the board for that. So a great organization if that's interesting to you. I also have to say he loves Chihuahuas. His Chihuahua buddy is the love of his life, and I have permission to say that. He currently has 2, Buddy and Cricket. So Michael, I'd like to welcome you to this club. I have your badge, your certificate of membership, and several other materials for your use.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Michael, we'd like to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I just want to say this is not set up for my height. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I chose to stay in Columbus after I sold my business because Columbus is a city with a future. And this chapter is going to be a strong part of writing that future, and I wanted to be a part of this. So thank you for allowing me to be part of Chapter 200.
Absolutely. We just want to welcome you back to Rotary and thank you for your service to the country and your entrepreneurship here in Columbus, and we look forward to working with you.
Likewise.
Thank you for being a part of us. Let's celebrate Michael as he goes back to his seat.
And it is now my opportunity and great privilege to introduce our newest member, Rotarian. Sorry, Michael. But it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kidder. Dr. Kidder is the Dean of the Abbott Turner College of Business at Columbus State and is coming up on her first anniversary. She moved to Columbus last year, where she served at the University of Hartford, and she has close to 15 years of experience in multiple academic leadership positions. In these roles, she's led and contributed to matters relating to operations, academics, enrollment management, accreditation, and stakeholder relations. She holds a bachelor's degree in economics from Swarthmore College and a PhD in industrial relations from the University of Minnesota. Her areas of interest include leadership, negotiation, and conflict interest, human resource management, and business analytics, among many others. She has more than 20 scholarly publications and 50 conference presentations to her credit. Dr. Kidder is also a trained mediator and enjoys competing in triathlons. Over the past year, I've had the great opportunity to work with Dr. Kidder on several different projects, and I look forward to continuing our work together as Rotarians now. Please help me welcome Dr. Kidder.
Thanks.
Dr. Kidder, we too like to welcome you to our club. We had the great pleasure of having lunch with you and sitting with you, I think the very first day you visited. We're happy now that you're part of our body, and we look forward to working with you. Let's celebrate Dr. Keeter as she goes back to her seat. At this point, I'd like to call on Julie Bond for a special recognition of one of our members. Julie.
This is wonderful. This is much more like me. Right. I just leave it alone, right? Sorry, Ryan. President Cedric, fellow Rotarians, I have some great news for you. Number one, we have our GRSP student, Laurie, from France. She will be arriving on Tuesday and at the airport, and Ian and several others will be there to welcome her. This is a great beginning to our GRSP year, and I don't know if you know, but it was from this club in 1946 that there was a, sorry about this, that's better, that Janice Biggers, her husband Jimmy Biggers was part of this club, went with a small group to initiate the beginning of the GRSP program. They went to Europe. And from that time, a lot happened. Of course, we have now Laurie, which is the 70th student we have had. She will be our 70th student. Now, it might seem strange, but there has not been a chair of the GRSP program, which covers the whole of Georgia, from our club, ever. Also, our Rotary district is 6,900. There are 3 districts, and out of those 3 districts, ours has not had a chair for 25 years. Well, folks, all of that changed last weekend. And so, having been a host parent, oh, by the way, Laurie's host parent is going to be Julio Portillo. Wonderful. And, but the person who is changing this for us, who will be the vice president for 3 years, and then the president for 3 years, should he not screw it up, as he said himself, but I know he won't, because this person has the fullest passion and has given everything he's got. He has already changed this organization to bring it into this century, and began as a host parent, a trustee, a GRSP district chair, then a director. And now I would like you to congratulate with me the person who will be the chair of the whole of the GRSP program, Dr. Ian Bond.
Ian, please.
Thank you.
I got to say this, I have to. There's only one Vern Humphreys in the whole world, and we have him, and there's only one Ian Bond, and we have him also. Let's again celebrate Ian. Great accomplishment, and we look forward to the wonderful work that you'll do. Let's celebrate him again. Just a few announcements. This coming Friday, the 22nd, we will have our breakfast Zoom mix from 8 a.m. until 9, and Kevin White will actually be our presenter. At the end in the back, as we had on last week, I think they're still there, I can't see it. We have some sample Rotary shirts that you'll be able to purchase, and for each shirt that you purchase, the Wade companies will give $5 of that to the Rotary Foundation. So please consider purchasing one of the shirts that they'll have. And I think what they're doing is taking orders, and it's various different ones. So you have a selection that you will be able to, in essence, choose from. Okay? We'd like to introduce the head table. Debbie Caballero is who brought us our invocation today. Thank you, Debbie. And at this point, Vice Chair Ian Bond will actually introduce our program. Ian, if you would.
Thank you, President Cedric, fellow Rotarians. Louise Hurless is no stranger to this community. She's been with us for about 8 years. What's amazing to me is that in the middle of a global pandemic, Louise, I think somebody, maybe President Cedric, persuaded her to join our Rotary Club in the middle of a pandemic. So she got to meet us on Zoom and on Facebook Live and so forth. And I got to know Louise because Louise was very faithful every other week to the Zoom happy hour. And you know what? You can build a great friendship on Zoom. And we got to know Louise, got to appreciate her, and then as we were able to start meeting more and more in person, we're able to get to know Louise in person and discovered somebody who's not only a wonderful, fun person to be around, and she really is, but somebody who has a real heart for community service and for world service. It's no surprise that she's jumped right into our international service project. She's part of our global grant committee. She's already been to Guatemala and is planning to go again early in the new year as part of that service project. Louise comes to us from Michigan. She earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Human Services from Lake Superior State University. She spent a number of years in business, both in the clothing business and in the construction industry. Not surprisingly, with that background in construction, in 1998, she joined Habitat for Humanity. For a number of years, she was based at the headquarters in Americas, but since 2014, she has been the executive director of the Columbus Area Habitat for Humanity chapter. Please welcome Louise Hurless.
Thank you, Ian. You just had to bring up the happy hour, didn't you? Absolutely. He didn't mention what we talk about at happy hour, so that might be okay. A few years ago, I had a phone conversation with my mom at the end of a busy week. I told her that I finally figured something out. And that kind of statement usually made my mom go quiet, and she did. I told her that I realized I thrived on being around people and situations that were different from me. I felt more at ease to be myself. I never really had said that out loud. It's so much more work to try and fit in, and that it is to just accept people's individuality, circumstances, and what they have to offer. Again, she went quiet. She asked me then to go on. She was trying to figure out what I was having to say. Growing up in a big family often brought chaos. Well, always brought chaos. And being number 4 of 6, I just begged for law and order. I wanted new clothes, not hand-me-downs. I wanted matching furniture. I wanted what I thought were normal family outings, whatever those were. I didn't want to have to explain divorces or job loss or Catholic ways or why we ate cheap cookies or why my brothers had stupid friends. I just wanted to be normal. So I continued to talk about my work with Habitat after all these years. It is far from normal, to put it lightly. It truly takes a miracle to help people have better housing from a nonprofit stance. Sometimes I wonder how we ever manage all of the volunteers, raise enough money, and choose the right family. It takes all kinds of people offering what they have and dealing with a multitude of situations. For instance, an insurance man calling me one morning about some home repairs to be done because a Habitat homeowner had passed away in her house and wasn't found for a few days. They had to break a window and cut the carpet. And I just thought, what in the world? Then thankfully, a wonderful couple of volunteers and staff went with me to the house to investigate. Lucky for them. Or having an eager group of young volunteers work on a house only to have to redo some of their work at the end of the day. But they sure had fun, and they were happy for themselves to be able to help someone in our community. Or getting a donation of 10 bathroom sinks and 10 faucets and realize later that they don't fit together. You just smile and say thank you. Learning how to deal with bankruptcies, foreclosures, and having the right training to process loans and mortgages. Sometimes your brain just wants to explode. Or trying to communicate with a volunteer or homeowner who doesn't talk like you. And when you both finally figure out, you just bust out laughing. It ended up that chaos and hand-me-downs and difficult situations is what makes me happy. And it's what Habitat is all about. Nothing much is normal or routine. It's an adventure all its own, with every family, every volunteer, every disaster, and every challenge. As the founder, Miller Fuller, once said, if we didn't have all of this, we wouldn't be serving and working with the right people. And I think my mom got it too. Housing is a vital part of life that impacts everything we do. It is a universal need. So I will begin with sharing this video, and then we'll talk about what we do here in Columbus. It's so quiet. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to start with the PowerPoint. I'll probably whip through the slides, and then we'll have some questions. I hope that everyone has questions. We do a lot in our community, and it's not always well known. So I'll start with our vision is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Our mission statement is seeking to put God's love into action. Habitat for Humanity brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Habitat in general has adopted these two statements throughout the world, throughout our U.S. Every affiliate has these, and that's nice to have that unity. We began in 1984 here in Columbus as a U.S. affiliate. Our service area is Muscogee County, and we just added Talbot County. They had a Habitat operations there, but we found out that it would be better to join forces. Our restore opened in 2005, and we've almost hit the 400 families served. We should probably hit that at the end of next year. Okay. And I can't talk and do this clicker at the same time. I may give this to Ian. How are families served in our area? Everyone knows about the new construction of houses, and that is how Habitat basically started. But as years went by, affiliates didn't always have the right amount of money to build a brand new house, because that's not a cheap thing to do. So we started adding rehab houses around the country, critical repairs, and aging in place modifications. I'll back up a little bit. Part of why we have changed the routes of how we serve families is because, about 2008, when no one had any money, we have to have rules that we follow by with Habitat International, and we needed to serve families. So all affiliates were getting creative, and that's how we ended up changing our program around the world. Criteria for home ownership. Here, can you do this? We're good. To purchase a new home or a rehab house, we look at 3 criteria. It's the need, ability to pay, and willingness to partner. The need is quite obvious. Either your house is too expensive, it's too crowded, it's in bad shape. Ability to pay is another critical key of this, because we don't give our houses away, we sell them with a mortgage. So you must have steady income to pay the mortgage. And the third criteria is willingness to partner. Sweat equity is a well-known aspect of our program. Homeowners have to put in 300 hours of working on their house or on other projects or just in the community general. So willingness to partner is an important aspect of our approval of families. Criteria for critical repairs and aging in place modifications. Again, the need. You must be 62 years old or have a disability. And we only do repairs and work on owner-occupied houses, no rentals. And the homeowner needs to be current with their insurance and mortgage. And I'll talk about each of these programs a little bit more. Okay. To be approved for our program, we follow HUD income guidelines. I put Muscogee County, Talbot County in red, and then in Georgia in parentheses to show you where our numbers are. The median income for a family of 4 in Muscogee County is $68,200. We're above Talbot County, the rural county, and we're a little bit low of the statewide average. So the people that we typically serve are in the 50 to 80% range. So that's about 34,000 to 54,000. And we can have a range because our houses vary in mortgage amounts. Okay. So every year the Joint Center for Housing at Harvard sends out a report that's about 85 pages long, but it has a lot of interesting facts about the state of the nation's housing. And I won't go into a lot of those stats, but I did put down a few that I thought needed to be known. That 30% of the people pay more than 30% of their income for housing, and 14% pay more than 50% of their income for housing. If you pay 30 to 50% of your income just to live somewhere, you don't have much left for insurance, car, utilities, food. So that's why there's programs like ours. And regardless of income, households of color have lower homeownership rates. Affordable house prices are increasing while supply is decreasing. Any realtors and bankers in the room know that. During the pandemic, a lot of the affordable houses were bought up by investors. Okay, so this is our most recent house, and we will have a new homeowner in it next week. It turned out, it's a great house. It's in a nice, quiet neighborhood, and we're very happy about it. We're waiting to receive the appraisal amount. Our cost went up significantly this past year, and it wasn't all just related to building materials. It was related to dumpsters, porta potties, anything related that we needed to use was a lot higher this year. But we're still able to make it affordable for our applicants. Okay. This is a rehab house. We had received a house from Bank of America. That's how mostly we get our rehab houses. We don't go and buy houses to refurbish. They're always donated to us. And this one turned out great. We had quite a bit of work to do on it, but it was affordable for the homeowner, and she's been in it about 4 years now. Okay. So what makes our Habitat houses affordable? The key factor in that is a 0% mortgage. I'm sure all of you in this room would like a 0% mortgage. I would. We usually have 20 to 30 years, and the average payment with escrow ranges between $425 and $650. We calculate the affordability to be in the 30% debt-to-income ratio. We require a $1,600 down payment, which isn't, I think that's one of the number one problems right now, that people don't have a down payment that they can pay on when purchasing a house. So $1,600 is manageable. We never sell a Habitat house above the appraised value. That's a Habitat International rule. We aren't out to make money on the houses. So if we have a house that only cost us $100,000 to build and it appraised at $150,000, we have a silent second, and that serves two purposes. One, so that it's still affordable to the homeowner, and two, so that they can earn that equity as they pay their mortgage. If they pay for 20 years, they'll earn a little bit of that equity every year, and when they pay off their mortgage, they have earned that difference in the appraised value and what we sold it to them for. And it also protects us. If they sell their house early, they have to pay some of that. They can't sell a $50,000 house at $100,000 and walk away in a couple years with an extra $50,000. We get that in return. So that's just kind of a little extra thing that we keep in our mortgages. Our most recent rehab house that we just sold, her payment is $531 per month, and that includes her taxes and insurance. So that's extremely affordable. Okay. So our Continuing Hope program, these are just some of the images I thought I'd share that we have to deal with on a regular basis. You can go to the next slide. Our Continuing Hope program came about because we were receiving 10 times more calls for repairs than we were for new home ownership. And that was kind of disturbing to us, and we really wanted to help people. So we did a lot of homework, and we were trying to figure out how we could have a repair program that paid for itself. Because when we sell a house, we have mortgage income. But repairs, we couldn't figure out how we were going to do that. So luckily, the city has a community development department, and they had funding for critical repair programs. So we pretty much run that program, administer the projects. And just some more stats about housing in our area. About 70% of houses in Columbus were built before 1990, and many before 1950. So our housing stock is aging. And that goes along with the elderly population in our community. That's one of the fastest growing demographics in the country and in our area. And affordable and safe housing is very crucial. Finding suitable housing to meet the changing physical needs sometimes means staying in your own home. Moving is not always an option. Along with the age-related modifications, many times a critical repair or updated is also essential. We have been working with the River Valley Area Agency on Aging and Habitat International's Housing Plus program. They assist us with doing house assessments, what we should look for, what would be priorities to do in someone's home. Okay, the next one. These are our two most popular projects for seniors. Roofing is always on the list. Most of our homes that we look at need a new roof. That seems to be the last thing that people think they need. And then bathrooms. Bathroom modifications, we will take out old bathtubs and put in walk-in, or just install bars and safety measures. Okay. So other things we do in our organization besides housing are things that are important to our community. We don't just provide housing, we provide services. Our Restore, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is a major factor in our organization. We have Legacy Link Senior Work Training Program in our office in Restore. We love our seniors. They help us out a lot. We can't have regular volunteers all the time. They're not guaranteed. So we have seniors that work in our store, and it's wonderful. We also have court-ordered community service. That kind of slowed down during the pandemic, but it's coming back. And we get a lot of volunteers that way. And some have 10 hours, some have 100 hours. And I like the long-term ones because we develop relationships, and they're happy that they actually learned something. We have high school and college servant leadership volunteering. They come in groups or individual. We have long-term internships. We like having interns. They can spend anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months with us. And then we have the faith community, business, military, and individual volunteers. We love our military volunteers. I always call them the ant farm because they come in a big group and they just are busy like this the whole time they're there. Sources of funding. That's our next one. Again, to remind everybody that we do have mortgages on our houses. So our principal payments come back to us. We're the bank for our program. Grants, we receive private, government, and Habitat International grants. Cash donations, Restore sales, gift-in-kind donations. Sometimes we have loans or sold mortgages, but I'm happy to say as of July 1st, we are debt-free, and that feels wonderful. We began a capital campaign last fall with a goal of $1 million, and we're at just over $600,000 at this moment. So we're confident that we'll reach our goal. Okay, back to our Restore. Our Restore is a way to raise funds. Everything in the store is donated. It's usually gently used or sometimes new, and it's all building materials and home goods. And we sell it to the public at discounted prices. We get all kinds of things in there. Windows, doors, furniture, light fixtures, anything home related, dishes. We do get some strange things once in a while. I came back from lunch one day and this guy's putting 2 surfboards in the back of his truck. And I'm like, when did we get surfboards? So it's a great place, and we like it a lot. We keep things out of the dump, out of the garbage, and people get a good deal. And see that the glass around our counter, that was a result of COVID. We weren't open for a while, so our funds were down too, and so we always have to get creative. And my construction manager and I sometimes think on the same wave. So I said, Scott, let's go outside. And we always had all these windows out there. And I said, what do you think about these windows to go around the counter? And instantly, he knew what I was talking about. So 2 days later, we had our COVID shield around our counter. So we were happy how that turned out. Okay, so lastly, I have a slide about what can Rotarians do. I think it would be a lot of fun to have, we're building 3 houses out off of Whitesville Road, 3 houses in a row, and I think it would be fun to have a house build day, and we could invite the other Rotary clubs to join us, so that's just something to think about. You can be a board member. We're always looking for board members. Or you can volunteer in our store. If we had 10 volunteers in our store every day, that wouldn't be enough. We always need help in our store. And then, of course, make a donation or a gift in kind. Gift in kind donations help us tremendously. As I mentioned earlier, the store is all gift in kind. It's all donated. But gift in kind things for the construction site are very helpful. If someone donated 5 windows to the house, we wouldn't have to pay cash for that. So the value of the windows goes in the cost of the house, but we didn't have to expend that cash to buy those windows. So any kind of gift in kind, anything to us is a wonderful thing. So I did want to mention, Habitat International sends us out emails every Monday, and they're called Monday Money Memo. It's the hardest thing to say, but second paragraph down on this past Monday was, contact your local Rotary Club. So here's your little advertisement. So I thought that was good, and they talked about the different grants that are available through your local habitat. So I just need to talk to one of our board members. But I'll open it up to questions now, if anyone has any questions. Okay, thanks, Joel. I'm glad you asked that. We were fortunate to receive a grant this past winter. We had to keep it quiet. I received this kind of anonymous email, and I had to investigate it, and then I had a phone call that night. Well, whenever I get a strange email, I look at the email address, and I look online to see where it's from. And it just said Lost Horses, LLC, and I thought, what in the heck is that? So I just kept scrolling, and about the 5th paragraph down, it said Mackenzie Scott. So I thought, oh, I'm calling that. I'm going to reply to this. If it's a hoax, it's a hoax, but I'll find out. But it wasn't a hoax. I talked to their foundation that night, and then 2 weeks later, we had $1,225,000 in our bank account. And, we weren't sure how that happened. We couldn't tell Habitat International. We couldn't tell anybody. And that was the hardest secret to keep for that long. 2 of my staff members knew because they were there when I got the email. And so we found out that out of the 1,100 habitats across the country, that 84 of us received that. And they don't know how they chose us. They ask certain criteria of what makes a good Habitat affiliate, what they're supposed to do, who they're supposed to serve, and then they did their own homework. So we were very pleased. So not only are we debt-free, we have money in the bank, and we're ready to roll on our new projects. Yes? Yes. We go by the laws. We have to go by the laws, yes. And we have to have training, we have to do courses. We're, like I said earlier, sometimes I feel like our head's going to explode because we have to know so many things, and we're updated and educated on a continuous basis. Yes?
That was not his question.
Oh.
He wanted to know, do you buy the houses or property, or do you require that the recipients or the residents do whatever to qualify?
I guess I'm still not understanding. Oh, okay.
Like the credit score.
Yes.
Do y'all have your own individual program for credit, or you go by the housing?
Yeah. We go by what we're supposed to. We look at credit scores, we look at their income to debt ratio, and yeah, just like a bank would. Yes. Yes. Time's up. Okay.
Well, this. I'd like to recognize Louise's staffing that's here also, and if you all have a few minutes, there could be potentially other questions that folks would have. Would you all have a few minutes to stick around? Okay. We want to thank you for, I just believe in there being so many best-kept secrets in Columbus, and this is one of them. So we thank you for sharing with us what Habitat does, and as commemoration for your visit with us today and being part of this club, we'll put a children's book in our local library and sign with your name on it. So we thank you for your presentation today. And we would ask Debbie to come back, because what we want to do is, because of our time, we want to close out by giving our four-way test.
Would everyone stand, please? And let's recite the four-way test together as we remind ourselves of our club's values. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
With no further business, we stand adjourned.
Love the four-way test. Thank
Yes, sir.
you.
Yes, sir. You don't get folks come up to us and say,